Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape 2. In the last part we got our final tool more or less, and accessed a very long level, and now it's time to go defeat Spectre.
He is gonna pay.
Here I come!
Jimmy, we've picked up a reading on Spectre.
That must be the location of the monkey's base.
Yes, Spectre is definitely somewhere inside, but he's not one for complacency. You can bet he has plenty of surprises in store for you. You must be on your guard.
Okay, I'll be careful.
And on our guard we must be. I brought up last time the stages get a little bit longer from here because the last 3 stages in the game are each over 20 minutes long on their own. With that said, something we should note, the mission objective here was defeat Spectre, not catch monkeys. You can catch any monkey you want along the way. In fact, there's some you need to in order to actively make progress happen. But you can just ignore a lot of them and get on because your goal here is to reach the boss fight at the end of it, not the actual monkeys here. You're gonna need to do it eventually for 100%, but you don't need to yet.
So it's like, depending on how you're feeling, you can just go straight for the boss, or you can take your time and catch a couple monkeys.
I'm not sure which the speed run does here. I imagine if it's just like an any percent run, the final boss is their ultimate goal, so they don't really do a lot. Oh, that was close. I've had runs where missing that monkey makes them run around and I'm just here for 3 minutes. Oh. Runners, my least favorite. I'm not sure how I'm doing at this point on the gotcha machine stuff. I think I probably have about 60% of it from what I've gathered thus far, but again, it doesn't matter because I don't even think the 100% rating takes that into account. I do get it all, like I mentioned earlier in the LP, but you don't need to.
Nah, it's just like a fun little side thing you can do.
It's gonna make Ape Escape 3 interesting because of my usual rules for 100%, because that game has a lot of stuff to purchase.
Oh, it does.
Some of it unlocked through, passwords.
Passwords. Different cosmetics.
That does get into something a little interesting. This game does have an unlockable that we'll talk more in depth about towards the end. What's interesting about it is you can access what is normally a Japan exclusive gadget through it. Let me get the exact name of it up. It's the Saru Buster. That was available through an extra disc that was included with certain versions of the Japanese version of the game. And it basically acts like a water net, except you can use it above the ground and thus shoot your nets at opponents and monkeys to capture them. That's not accessible in the game normally. You can only do it in the unlockable thing I'm not directly talking about by accessing the gadget menu and holding R1 while you're selecting the net, which is cool that it's there at all, because it's definitely not normally meant to be accessed, but definitely a little annoying that that content's basically locked up otherwise.
I had no idea that existed.
Yeah, it's very well hidden. I was actually doing some research between parts. We brought up earlier in the LP that Ape Escape 3 added a quick select for gadgets rather than just having to go back to the menu and changing from there.
Yeah.
That's in the Japanese version of Ape Escape 2.
Why would they not bring it over?
I don't know.
That's a weird thing to change, unless it was like some kind of coding issue.
That wouldn't surprise me to an extent, because localizing and translating games can cause all sorts of problems, especially if the process goes weird. As a Trails fan, I'm no stranger to that because Reveille's release had a lot of issues like that, but apparently part of the reason why Sky 2 took so long to come over was stuff like that happening to that game. Like translating lines, now making a character fart magical clouds whenever they walked around. That was apparently a very real thing that happened to X8 as they were translating that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, so like maybe even like the exclusive gadget as well, maybe it did something. Or like they didn't know how to port it because of the extra disc.
Yeah, because let me look into this extra disc real quick. It was a proper expansion disc, so it wasn't like a secondary disc that games like Final Fantasy VII or Brave Fencer Musashi had that had the 8 demo. It was just a secondary disc that wasn't in the game at all. Was it released later? The wiki doesn't have any information on that. I guess that's something that is kind of annoying about gaming as a whole, is extra content like that added in after the fact in a way that makes it hard to access down the line. Like, game preservation is a whole ordeal as it is, but I think that we kind of ignore what DLC does for that nowadays, because barring people saving those files in some regards, there's going to be no way to access that once those servers go down.
Looking at you, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, looking at that, looking at... what's a good example of it that's coming to mind from recent stuff? The Sonic Frontier special updates aren't going to be available once those servers go down in like 20 years. Because PS5s and 4s won't be online anymore very much. And like that's an entire part of that game. And yeah, Game of the Year editions sometimes exist that to help with that, or further re-releases like they could do in like 10 plus years, another version of Sonic Frontiers that just has all the stuff in it alongside new stuff to make up for that. But it's a losing battle.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the other issue entirely, which is game companies doing exactly that to get more money.
Yeah.
By being like, oh, here, you ordered this day one, well, now we're releasing an entirely new game for the same price, but it has more stuff.
$30 minimum, please.
And it's on the exclusive new console.
Like, I remember seeing a metric within the last year that was like somewhere about at least 80% of games released are unplayable nowadays in some form besides emulation. And that's gonna probably continue to be that as games release.
Unfortunately.
And it mirrors things we've seen in other media forms, because there's a version of this that also exists for TV and film. A lot of movies from before like 1940 just aren't around anymore. And TV show-wise, like there's still a lot of episodes like Doctor Who, I think even, where I think it's particularly from the first and second Doctor eras. They just re-recorded over those film reels, so those episodes were lost permanently, barring people having recordings themselves. In fact, I think around the 50th anniversary special, there was this big deal where someone found in, like, some cold storage area in, like, an Arctic base or something like that, they found a reel of a lost episode.
That sounds like something a Doctor Who episode would be about, not gonna lie.
Yeah, Third Doctor had a lot of stuff like that. I need to catch back up with that series. It's been a little bit. I fell out, like, right after the Jodie era started, even though I really liked her, because college stuff came up.
And, like, that's the thing, too. It's like, I love video games. I love seeing how far everything has come. And it's, like, it's amazing to me. Like, stuff I played as a kid just... And like stuff I played as a kid just looking better and better as I get older. But it's just such a shame that there's a lot of the problems with the industry.
It also reminds me of, it was some executive, I think, for Sony, or like a studio that Sony works with, talking about why people want to play these old games. They look bad. Like, yeah, it's like technology grows, but some of the games usually still hold up.
Oh yeah, they definitely do.
I think it was about a racing game in particular, but I forget which. I'll have to look that up and put a little call out so I can have the exact person's name. I remember that comment being made.
Well, it's like, yeah, but it's like, there's also the fact that, like, they were genuinely enjoyable. Regardless, it didn't matter about the looks. It was like, if it played well, and it brought me a lot of joy as a kid.
It's one of those ideas I look at as well, and I see people who talk like that, and I think, I just have to wonder what they think about, like, the indie scene. And honestly, considering a lot of these people are probably executive level, it's probably just the money driving their brain and not actual creative drive.
Well, it's like, I was even thinking about, like, I was talking with a friend the other day specifically about this, about how I kind of miss the era of lots of sprite games, like sprite-based games, like, because I've been playing Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo. That's on the online Switch, the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. And the sprite style is just so charming. And, like, for a game that came out in the 90s, it still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, like, those new Harvest Moon remakes and the story season stuff are really good, but something just feels lost in some of them.
Yeah, it's like the sprite style had a very, had like a really nice charm to them. And it's kind of something don't get me wrong, like, I love the remake of Mineral Town. That made, like, as a kid who played that so much, like, that made me ecstatic and everything. And I played hours and hours of the remake. But it's just like, I feel like there's like a certain charm missing in having it 3D instead of the sprite style. And and I feel like that's why I lean towards some indie games more than, like, mainstream, because it has a lot of that charm.
Yeah, and I remember, I forget where I heard this or read this, but I remember learning at some point that apparently a lot of sprite artists forgot how to do sprite artwork as they went on in game development stuff, particularly out of Japan, because of the focus on 3D throughout the late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, things just got so expensive. Like, King of Fighters, I think 13 was the one that was super based in sprite work that they did last before they went full 3D. They had to go full 3D in the next one because they literally couldn't financially afford doing another one of those, because the amount of work they had to do for King of Fighters 13 sprites almost bankrupted them.
Wow.
And it's like, I guess the indie scene's the only thing that can really afford that nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's like another thing too where it's like, we know Guilty Gear originally started, like, with sprite style. I think their transition to 3D was pretty amazing, because that's still, like, that. Let's be honest, the animations and art in Guilty Gear are incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, I guess indie gamers or indie developers are the only ones that can afford it right now.
Or at the least, I'm not going to say have the time for it, but they are willing to, I guess, take the loss financially to put the work in artistically. And that's sad to me. That they're the only ones that can really feel like they have the chance to do that. Because, like, a good example of this is Sea of Stars, which I've been playing recently. I'm almost done with it, I think. Might be my game of 2023. I'll have to get back to y'all on that. I look at that game, and that is the most PlayStation 1 Super Nintendo game I've felt in years on the joy level. And nothing looks like that anymore, outside of things like this.
Well, it's like, even, like, just thinking about it, as much as I love the Final Fantasy games, the artwork, the sprite artwork for some of those bosses in the older games, holy crap. Just amazing.
I would love to see them obviously getting a little off topic here, but After 16 was a fully action-based game with some really cool set pieces, I would love if they just pivoted the exact opposite direction to make 17 a full turn-based game after so long. Because it feels like we needed that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I know we didn't talk a lot about this level, but a lot of it is just tight platforming and a lot of use of the magnet tool I don't like. For now, it's time for the boss fight.
Come.
You don't just get to ask someone that, Spectre.
Caught me, do you? Because you are the ones who are in trouble now. Here is my latest invention. The Mark II Battle Cruiser.
Ah, what is that?
It will be over before you know it. Ha! Well, been nice knowing you. Ouch! What was that? Oh! Who did that?
Are those Vita Z bananas?
Don't eat those,
Just
Chipochi.
what
You have
in
no
the
idea
world
where
is
they came
going
from.
on? Yellow monkey? What do you think you're doing? Have you gone bananas? More bananas! No! No banana, that's trash! Oh, an overdose of Vita C bananas has sent him on a rampage. We have no choice but to retreat for now. Smash
I love that they play up the fact they're about to redo the one boss fight from the last game, and then they're just, no! Here's Yellow Monkey again. Ugh.
Yeah, you guys didn't think we were getting Spectre yet, did you?
Nah, not quite yet. So Yellow Monkey's a little bit of a complicated fight in that he's not vulnerable for a lot of it. You need to wait for him to show his teeth, and then you need to knock them out, which,
Which is...
Been there, I've gotten teeth pulled. Attack-wise, he's mostly focused on his hands. When he doesn't spawn things in, he's gonna be either trying to shake his hand to knock you around, try to smack down on his fists with his other hand. It's kind of a hard fight to avoid some of the attacks, and especially when he's trying to suck you in, because that's a good bit of damage too. The biggest problem with this fight, especially if you're young... Oh, that attack's also rough, because you have to be really careful on your timing, otherwise you just get thrown up into his mouth. This fight can be a bit of a drain if you took a lot of hits and deaths during the stage itself, because if you get a game over, you have to go back to the start of the stage.
Yeah, and like with how long the stage is, that's a slog.
It's a nice set-piece fight, and ultimately, again, this game's boss fights just trounced Ape Escape 1's. It's just that it can be a little draining, and it can go a little slowly.
Yeah.
On top of the fact you got moves like this, where depth perception's a little hard to tell when it comes to dodging those UFOs. Maybe raising the camera a little bit could have helped with that.
Man, those... What did those Vita C bananas do to his teeth?
Too much natural sugars. Needs to brush his teeth more often.
Also, it's kind of weird to me that we never see his teeth.
Until this.
Until this.
Well, yeah, it's like that meme people made about Donkey Kong, where his teeth are retractable.
Wouldn't that hurt your wrist?
Let me test. Ow! Okay, that does hurt your wrist, but not the one you expect. It hurts the one that you smack it with. Science has been done today. And it's painful.
Just like it's painful
To get your teeth knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
Brush your teeth, kids. Getting your teeth pulled sucks. Especially when you do like 5 in a row before you get your braces on.
How did she get so tiny?
Rebound effects?
Jimmy, do you read me? Spectre has headed off to the moon.
Where? The moon! That's where Spectre's base is.
Precisely. And undoubtedly also the location of this lethargy laser. You must stop that laser from being fired.
So what is it you're all talking about?
Spectre!
I really didn't expect you to beat Old Yellow.
You didn't
I'm
expect
afraid
Yellow.
That could be just about the last victory for you. because I am about to reveal my trump card.
Trump card? You mean the lethargy laser?
Aha! Well, it seems you've been doing your homework. Then I suppose it won't hurt to tell you that when this thing is fired at the Earth, humankind will lose all motivation to resist my plans of domination.
No way! Not a chance!
Oh, really? If you think you can stop me, I'm just dying to see you try. Because I do believe you're doomed. But anyway, see you around, chum. Ciao!
Darn it! We've gotta hurry!
So what if the laser misfires and it just destroys the Earth instead? Is that a plan achieved or a plan failed?
Definitely something Spectre wouldn't expect.
He wouldn't expect her.
He didn't expect Yellow. He didn't expect this.
You did an amazing job defeating that enemy.
Well, at least someone appreciates our work, God. But with that, we're gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 9, we start off the final of the game's main stages.
And will we finally get Spectre?
Let's find out.